Hi, this is Terrell, graphic recorder and creator of Frame the Message Inc. This is Picture This.
Previously on Picture This, you discovered some of the tools that would be necessary for you to master the art of the flip chart. In part 2, we'll explore some drawing and lettering techniques that will help support you in making your messages clear. Okay, it's time to practice. Gather your materials and let's get going. Here are the things you'll need. Tape a piece of paper to the wall, or if you have access to it, a flip chart with chart paper. Markers of various colors, and a pencil. This is a bullet tip marker. It points at the end. This is a chisel tip. You'll notice it has a flat surface and also a pointed tip. The bullet tip marker is great for drawing and great for getting into tighter spaces with a thinner point, but it has its limitations. For more versatility, I like to use a chisel. The chisel tip allows me to draw with the flat part to create a fat line, or with the tip to draw a thin line. The chisel tip gives me a lot more versatility. Lettering is great with the chisel because it allows me to play with both bold, thick lines, and thin lines. Charters have chisel tips, and so do my trusty Sharpies. Using chisel tips takes a certain touch, but once you start to maximize on its possibilities, the chisel tip is a great choice. But chisel tips oftentimes are misused and not used to their maximum value. So I'm going to show you how using a chisel tip can give you the greatest versatility. If you want to have thick lines, you're going to need to hold the marker so that the flat surface of the chisel point is firmly on the paper at all times. Be sure you're holding the pen at the same angle, keeping that consistent all the way throughout the word. What a lot of people do that's a mistake is they don't hold the pen at the same angle as they're writing. And so as they turn the chisel tip around, it kind of creates some unusual effects. If you want to create thin letters, you want to use the tip of the chisel, but hold the pen at the same angle throughout all of the strokes. The thin part of the tip is best used when drawing. And the wide part of the chisel is best used when wanting to create big, bold letters. Handwriting. In the age of digitization, is handwriting still important? They place an emphasis on handwriting in our early years. Most of us probably learned it very young, that particular strokes make for perfectly formed letters. But as we develop, it seems like our style and our stroke preference sort of takes over, and our handwriting becomes more for us than it really does our audience. Mastering the art of good handwriting can actually be linked to creativity, focus, and even perseverance. But why is all that important to you? As a visual communicator, handwriting is what your viewers will see first. So we're going to start with a little handwriting 101. Some letters are small, some letters are tall, and some letters fall. Sorry, had to do it. Some letters do in fact squeeze between the sandwich lines of that good old-fashioned blue line and red line. Some will extend beyond, and some will fall below. Seems simple, doesn't it? But live by this mantra, and I can assure you, your letters will be legible from across the room. Great for improving penmanship, but how do you keep your letters straight on unlined flip chart paper? White paper can be daunting when you're trying to keep your lines straight. Unfortunately, rulers are not always the most accurate gauges for slope and slant when you're drawing or writing on a large area. And quite frankly, perspective means jack when you're standing 4 inches away from your writing surface. So here's a trick for keeping your print straight. Use a pencil to draw a faint line for yourself. Or, as you get more practice, look towards the end of your phrase or sentence. Envision where you want your last letter to fall and aim towards it. Probably the question I'm asked most frequently is, how do you make sure you don't run out of space when you're writing? I always write my letters and end up falling off the page. I use the same strategy I used with keeping my lines straight. I keep my eye on where I'm headed, and I plan ahead. I use my good old-fashioned elementary school fractions. I know that every word has a certain number of letters, and so I figure my halfway point. I ensure that as I'm aiming for that halfway point, I know approximately what letter I'm going to land on. Some letters take up a little more space than others, so I use my I's and my T's to have a little wiggle room. Include headers on your charts. Headers are designed to draw the audience's attention. Make them fun and stand out by experimenting with some of these outlining and shadowing tricks. Try outlining your lighter colors to make them really pop. To help readers track your text, choose two colors and alternate them. Use the colors for some fun and lively bullets. All of this will improve the readability of your text from across the room. Flipcharts can be dry and stale if all they ever contain is text. They don't need to be anything fancy, just something for the audience to connect the text with the visual image. It enhances their ability to make meaning of the charts that you provide. And now you have a few drawing and lettering techniques to make your flip charts dynamic. In Module 1, Part 3, we'll start building your visual library to add more images and life to your flip chart designs.